morning, dear listeners. Today we continue with our next podcast on the seventh principle of gender as it is explained in the Kybalion and in my commentary book, The Seven Laws of Reality and Being. So we already spoken a little bit about this principle and especially the mental gender, about the two aspects of the mental gender, which are indivisible but are explained as separate, so that one can understand the different phases of the mind. So all sentient beings, we have these two male and female mental gender, which can be used to in order to have some sort of control over our mental habits. And so we'll see in this podcast how the phenomenon of mental suggestion can affect oneself and others. So in this phenomenon of mental induction or suggestion, which it is used also when we do like self-affirmations, positive affirmations, we use a combination of willpower and desire force. So the desire, these two aspects can be related to the male and female mental aspects of mental gender. The willpower relating more to the male aspect and the desire force relating more to the female aspect. So the willpower is used in order to awaken the desire force, either in oneself or in another person, and also to subjugate one's own will or the wills of another person. That means that we become in control of our willing tendencies. The desire force can either be used to induce a similar desire in another person, or to charm or captivate the person's mind, or even one's own mind or one's own will. So desire force acts in the direction of drawing and pulling and attracting and charming, while the willpower acts in the direction of compelling and forcing and driving and demanding. So desire always draws its object towards itself, while the will overpowers and compels its object in a sense of driving it into action. So all sentient beings have these two aspects in different ways in of the consciousness, and we use both of these two aspects unconsciously, and sometimes some of us use it in a more conscious way, but it's difficult to become aware of this if one doesn't know about this. But it's important to know, because all positive affirmations can be done by using these two aspects of our mind consciousness. So the induction of mental states by means of suggestion has to do entirely with the feeling phase of the mind. So it deals with the production of emotional states rather than rational mentality. In fact, it's the emotional state that drives the mind. The rational mentality is it just gives an input, but it's the fire engine is the emotional state of the mind. So the willpower can be used in the form of authoritative suggestions, assertions, assumptions, and by inducing feelings in the hearer or in the person, the hearer, in the object, and the hearer accepts the statements. The hearer can be our own mind. We can just tell ourselves something, and our mind can accept our statements in the terms of positive affirmations, and so that without resistance and without any attempt to submit the matter of self-judgment or reason, we can just accept a statement made either by ourselves or made by someone else. And the repetition of the asserted statement as a given fact can induce a change of a mental state. either in oneself or in another person. For example, in the phenomena of hypnotism, where suggestion is the active factor and the hypnotic passive condition is the psychological state in which the effect of suggestions is heightened. In the phenomena of hypnotism, the will of the subject is overpowered by the will of the practicing hypnotist, and the various suggestions are then made to the subject. So this is not really a good state to be in, because one's weakened state of consciousness can accept any absurd suggestion and can accept and act upon it. So it's not a desired state to be in. The desire force, on the other hand, is used in the form of charming and awakening specific emotions in the hearers in order to obtain a specific aim. So an example of this form of mental suggestion through desire force is employed by, for example, skillful leaders and salesmen and agent, people that have some kind of role, and they can be using words which symbols of deep feelings and emotions, and knowing that these emotions played in the proper tone and expression can induce mental images, feelings and emotions which they represent in the subconscious minds of the hearers what they want to convey. So any emotion can be conveyed, whether it's love, fear, desire, hate, courage, anything. So basically, just to conclude, we can say that in a nutshell, the mental suggestions operate through the principle of mental gender by using willpower and desire force, and by conveying symbols associated with the mental image and the feeling to be induced in the hearer. It's very important to understand that a hearer can be our own mind, so we can mentally suggest ourselves whatever we want in order to obtain a specific aim. So positive affirmations uses this by trying to overcome negative habits by repeating statements. These statements has to be repeated, but they have to be repeated with authoritative emphasis, and because they need to be accepted by one's own subconscious mind, otherwise they don't work. It's not just like a parrot repeating the same thing. There needs to be a meaning behind, and they need to trigger a mental image and a feeling of whatever is associated with the statement in order to work. And the repetition will make sure that the desired state is induced. And so basically we need to be aware of this principle, and more information, but much more detailed information is found in my book on the 7 laws of reality and being. And we will continue maybe in the next podcast with the principle of gender in other traditions. Thank you for listening. It's all for now.